So that was a long drive with no snacks there on it.
Oh yes, a whole 10 minutes up the road.
Yeah, we're just at our campsite again here, just near our house. If you've watched any other videos, and I've no idea why you would, we go to Spain regularly 2 or 3 months in the winter, generally long staying in one site for most of it, because that suits our budget, and then going to another site for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So what we thought we'd do is put this video together to go through everything that we've learned over these years.
Yeah.
Because it might help somebody who's heading towards being able to spend part of the winter in Spain, or even tour Spain, to be honest, because a lot of the things are relevant to that,
Yeah,
you know.
aye, yeah.
So let's get on with that, eh?
Yeah.
So it's May and it is beautiful here in the Highlands, but in January to go to Spain we have to drive 600 miles to get to the ferry port, often in the snow, and it does involve a couple of real dark mornings to get there. So we're much more inclined to take the direct ferry to Spain than drive through France, for example. Now we actually find the ferry quite exciting, you know. There's nothing like the ramps coming down and arriving in another country for us. But the only real positive about the ferry is that it gets you as far south as possible with the minimum possible driving. Other than that, so I suppose the most negative thing about the ferry is the cost. Now Brittany Ferries, since they brought on the bigger ferries, the Santona and so on, they are more sea-kindly, but they're more expensive. The older ferries, which you used to be able to get in a January, which Brittany Ferries called their economy ferries, are gone. So you're paying top end every time. 6 metre van, cheapest cabin this year, 2024, £972. Now if you were towing a car and a caravan, say, you'd be probably closer to £1,500 now. I know last year people were about £1,400. Now the older economy ferries, or the older ferries, used to have proper little cafeterias. One of them, or two of them I think, had a proper mini supermarket, if I remember rightly, and you could eat really cheaply. Now the new ones don't have that. It's like 2 restaurants, some snacks in the bar, and all they really have is a single chiller cabinet in the shop. Now we like some of the experience, so we normally spend about £90 to £120 each way. You could spend less. You could spend twice that, £240 say, if you ate a la carte. But there is one last negative to get out of the way, and that is the Bay of Biscay can be really rough in a January. Now sometimes you get lucky, like we did this year, but other times, there's chairs, drinks and people falling over, and you've really just got to lie in your cabin till it's over. Most years it's been rough part of the time. I think only once has it been really rough the whole time. But it's just something to consider, But the thing is, even if you don't really get seasick, and we don't, it gets very, very wearying having to hang on to things, and especially your drink, and having to judge your stagger to the bar. So I tend to use Via Michelin for route planning, mainly because it also gives you the price of the tolls, or what it's going to cost you in tolls. And I regularly check, going, say, Portsmouth to Caen ferry, driving down through France, or the Channel Tunnel and driving down and across France. Now you've got the cost of the Channel Tunnel or the ferry on the times that would suit us. We would normally need a couple of campsites minimum on the way down. Don't like to drive too far. We've still got to eat, and we've got the additional fuel and the cost of the French toll roads, which are pretty high, But even at that, I find that generally would be 20% cheaper driving down through France. So if you travel through France, you won't get seasick and it'll be cheaper. So why would you get the direct ferry? Well, one reason is it's full of people who have saved all year and are really looking forward to, escaping the winter for a couple of months. So it feels like escape. It's good fun, Also, it's lovely that somebody else has got responsibility for moving you forward these miles, where you sleep and eat and have a little drink and all that kind of stuff, But I think one of the main reasons is that it's January everywhere, including in France, Even northern Spain can be very, very cold at that time of year. Times colder in the UK, we've found. But it's like a little miracle when you drive south. Generally about an hour north of Madrid, suddenly it warms up. You feel the sun coming in the windscreen, the heater goes off and the aircon goes on. Sometimes you feel like a different person. So we got off the ferry and we take the toll roads to head south. The object being to get south as fast as possible. We're not touring, And we paid about £35 each way. £32.50 actually, about £65 total in tolls in Spain. Pretty good, Often you can look over to your right, say, and you'll see the non-toll road, and you think, why am I paying for this? But they are slower because there's more traffic on them. We went from Santander to Moncofa in 7.5 hours. And I would say 7 of those hours were spent in cruise control on the speed limit. Van's going for an MOT, here's hoping, eh?
Fingers crossed.
So when we first got travelling, we were about 50, weren't we?
Yeah.
When it was after you'd been ill for a long time, so we went for it, didn't we?
Definitely.
Yeah, we toured all over Europe, including North and South Spain by motorbike, and then vehicle and tent.
Yeah.
We had a GoPod, and we had a small caravan as well, you know?
Yeah.
Really went for it, didn't we? And we had no concept that we would ever want to stay in one campsite for any length of time, did we?
Oh, no.
No, absolutely not. Couldn't
No.
understand how people could.
Oh, no.
I used to say there's no place in the world worth more than 3 days,
Aye.
or 3 nights.
We're proven wrong.
We were proven wrong as we travelled around. I think the first place we found that we really wanted to stay longer was in Italy.
Yes.
And all being well in September, we're going back to that campsite, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really southern Spain, we started to feel like that.
Yes.
Passed MOT first time, eh?
Brilliant.
Thank God. It's always a bit of worry, isn't it? First MOT.
Yes, aye.
So now, if we had to do it all again, if we could start touring again from scratch, if we even had an inkling that we might want a long stay in any site in Spain, the south coast of Spain,
Yeah.
spend part of the winter, we would do about a 1 month tour of Spain in May,
Yeah.
because in May the campsites are quieter because the overwinterers have gone home and the Spanish holiday season hasn't really started. Now, we're talking a few years ago, there's been this camping boom since then. I think it'll still be the same, but we're hoping to go to Spain again next May and tour.
Yes.
So we'll find out. So this is why Scotland's so great. 1 minute it's blazing sunshine. So we toured Spain 3 years in a row, always in a May. Temperature's fantastic in a May as well, of course. And we went to all the big towns and resorts and cities, and we had a fantastic time. Can't fault any of it. But we started to find we were taking a liking for the small sites that we had considered to be transit sites, you know. Nothing in the face of it that would interest us. A campsite on the edge of a small town or village which was very Spanish. Maybe only had one bar and restaurant. One shop perhaps, that sort of level, you know. Campsite would normally be very international. And on top of that, early May we would start to meet people who were at the tail end of an overwinter, and they always just seemed so happy. You know, that there's not a lot to do, but the beauty of it is that your day distills down into the big Spanish lunch, you know, relaxing, reading, perhaps going for a daily walk, that type of thing. It's so relaxing, and unexpectedly for us, we loved it. That's Pool U campsite behind us. It's one of the campsites we used to work on years ago, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our picture's right there, pretty idyllic looking across the sea. So one of the really good things about these quieter sites in Spain is their long stay rates, over 30 nights. In the winter is much cheaper than in the resorts, isn't it?
Yes.
So this year we were €15 a night, including any gas that we used. We used our heating on gas. Now, if we were to go to Villasol and Benidorm, which would be our choice in Benidorm, it would have been €10 a night more, plus electricity on top,
Yeah.
for exactly the same dates, you know. Get what you pay for, but...
Yeah.
And I'm aware there's cheaper sites in Benidorm, but Villasol is our choice, you know.
Yes.
This video's taken forever to make. I'm up the campervan in storage here just doing something. So we would never really recommend any of the campsites we go to anybody for a long stay. And the reason is it's such a personal thing. It's a huge commitment to go and spend 2 or 3 months in one campsite. And I think you've really got to do that tour first and find the places you love, you know. But the point is really all up and down that Spanish coast, there's a wide variety of sites in the winter that if you stay over 30 days, you'll get it for somewhere between 13 and 17 euros. Now that's sort of the sweet spot, you know. 14, 15 seems to be about average just now. And there's a wide variety of sites. Now when we go up to La Losa and Cambrils for 2 weeks at the end of our long stay, we're not long staying there obviously because we're only there 2 weeks, but the people who were there told me they were getting it for about 14, 15 euros a night, you know. And Cambrils is a much busier place, much more of a resort town, and you can go to Salou and Tarragona, and you know, you can do a lot more there if you choose to, you know. One of the things we find is on the quiet site we spend a lot less, and that's because there's a lot less to spend money on. So converted into pounds, if you take the price of the campsite itself away, we spent £22 a day on everything else. That's food, going out, whatever we did, £22 a day. And we could have easily only spent 10 or 12 and still be perfectly happy. Now for that money, we're going to the supermarket every day and we are buying what we want. Steaks, whatever we want, bit of beer, bit of wine. We ate out cheap meals 3 or 4 times. You're talking maybe €6 each for, chicken and fries and things like that in a cheapy restaurant. I think we had one fairly expensive menu of the day where it cost us about €60 all in with a glass of wine, a couple of beers and stuff. But it's that kind of level. You're mostly on your pitch cooking. You're just happy to be warm and you're having a good time. That's the sort of level. You could do it for 10 or 12 euros a day and you'd have a bottle of wine your meal every day for that in Spain as well. And then we go up to Cambrils and we go nuts. Taking away the cost of the campsite again, we spent, average, this is £40 a day. I counted in the 15 nights we were there, we were in 10 different restaurants. Now that varied from a sort of €20 tapas thing to an €80 lunch, A lot of people do this. They go to the quiet place for their long stay for most of their trip, and then they maybe go to Benidorm or Cambrils or somewhere and go nuts, because you can. Why not before you go home? Now as for personal comfort, it can be quite chilly at nights, especially sort of north along the coast from Valencia. Peak sitting out time is sort of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, maybe 5 p.m, something like that. So, box sets, stuff downloaded onto a device, data for streaming, all these things become more important. And to be honest, these evenings spent in the van, watching something together is one of the really enjoyable parts of the trip. And for us at least, good camp chairs are important because you spend a fair bit of time sitting in them. A means to cook outside becomes important for us because being able to cook good food that feels like you'd have paid money for it in a restaurant easily, 5 ingredients or less, it stops you eating out more. So this van is 6 metres, everything packs away well. We've put a lot of thought and effort into figuring out how to do that over the period we've owned it. Unlike our motorhome with a big garage, things are fitted in fairly tightly and it can get a bit aggravating pulling things in and out all the time. It's not a big deal, but we take a small shelter with us as well. With a freestanding shelter, you can position it, to give you more privacy, for shelter from the wind and so on. And also hard ground pegs, a steel mallet, additional guys we put on any of these cheap shelters, because it can still get pretty windy in Spain in the winter. So back to decent weather again. So I'll try and rattle through these bits because it's detail, but it might be useful to somebody. Now we carry a portable rotary dryer, although it's not very rotary. Now you don't normally see these in Europe, especially southern Europe, because they have shade trees and they have frames that they hang shade cloths from. So, and they'll let you hang washing lines from that. But a lot of the campsites we go to don't, so we carry it anyway, So on a long stay, most people's vehicles don't move for the whole duration of the stay. So, 2 to 3 months. So we carry a little 4 amp battery charger. Recently we bought the 20 watt solar panel, which does a fantastic job of keeping the starter battery topped up. We also carry a tyre inflator because the temperature when we leave the UK is going to be radically different when we start heading north again from the south coast of Spain. So last thing as I walk back to the car here, I've got this little Osmo Action 4. I usually use a GoPro and I just want to see what the stabilisation's like walking over a bit of rough ground here. The last thing is, should you book these campsites in winter? Now we do, always do now. It used to be if you're sort of north along the coast from Valencia in the winter, the campsites in our experience mostly had spaces south of Valencia that could be rammed, in the winter. It's high season in winter. This year, the year after COVID, we found that even the campsites north along the coast from Valencia were turning people away often. They were full, and that's really because the camping boom that happened in the UK after COVID, it happened all over Europe. So there's more stuff that I think would be helpful, but I think we've put you through enough for the one video, But we've got the big trip coming up later this year down to Italy and all that, so we'll cover more things. As I say, it's all easy. Anybody who's done this once, especially the long stay, knows all this, That's it from us, eh?
Yep.
A quick one-nighter there, and most of that video done at home just because it was easier, but I genuinely hope it helps somebody,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first time we got abroad, we were 50 years old, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
About 13 years ago. Done a lot of travel in the last 13 years, and that was a motorcycle in tent, and we were going to these places that to us seemed extraordinarily exotic at the time, down to Italian lakes and Venice and places like that. We had no idea what it was going to cost, did we?
None whatsoever.
I had to come up, but I had to come up with some kind of budget. Did okay because we're about 20% over with the budget. But genuinely hope that helps somebody. So next camping we'll probably look at that stove. Just the things we'll do differently for lightweight touring later on this year in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about why we're getting this whale heating taken out when it's broken down again, obviously, and a diesel heater put in, and how that's going to happen and where it's going to go. Again, if somebody's got similar problems with a whale and what it costs. We've got a date for doing it, but we don't actually have a proper price just now, do we? Because we've asked for 2 or 3 different things, but we'll know that shortly.
Yeah.
So I think all we've got to say now is cheerio to Cleo and Charlie and Joey. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.